Good morning, this is Shawn Woodell from Heavenly Soaps and Such. Today I was going to show you how I embroider the beanie hats. And I do two out of one piece of stabilizer. I don't do them both at the same time, but I do two off of one piece. That way I'm saving and I'm not just ripping it off and starting again. So I have my stabilizers cut out in advance. This is the one that goes for this frame, and I did cut it a little bit too wide, but it works out fine. So I keep them cut ahead. So first thing I'm going to do is just spray it a little bit. I put it down in a little box like this. Hope you can see that. And I just spray it a little. I try not to spray it too much. Just a little, just enough that it's sticky, and then I lay it on the table. And I just keep the box over here. I don't move the box back and forth that I sprayed in, but I just moved it to show you. For these beanies, I'm using this fast frame. Here, whoop, there. It is, I'm measuring it on my board. It's about 3 inches wide, and it looks to be about 4 3/4, and this is the inside that I'm measuring, if you're wondering what size it is. And they come in all sizes. This one's a little bit bigger, but this one works fine. That one works too. I've used it too, but this one works perfect. So for the letter that I'm doing, I'm just doing a 1 letter. But anyway, so it's 4 3/4 on the inside and 3 inches this way on the inside. All right, so I just lay it down, and I am going to trim this one a little bit because it is a little bit too wide. I'm going to go ahead and trim it. Okay. Now, one thing you need to know about a fast frame is when you're using a fast frame, you need to make sure that the top is the part that is higher here, and it slopes down. If you're on this side, it slopes up. This is not the top, this will be the bottom of the frame. So I want to turn it over. This is the side that's higher, and it slopes down. So I want to keep this up. Okay, I just line it up on here a little, lay it down. I press it to hold it in place. I take my scissors, and you don't have to do this, but I take my scissors and just cut there so that I can get a good fold. Sometimes I cut the corners like this, not all the time. I actually haven't been doing it on this, but it does make it easier to get. You can see there, it creates a little tabs out so that when you, and I lay mine on the table when I normally do this, but then see you have a little fold right here, and you just fold it back. But I usually lay it on the table, that way I can get a good press. And I just fold it up, press it with my fingers. That way you can press harder, and then fold it under. And then I just give it a good press all the way around. And then I make sure that this part here is pressed nicely to the back. Okay, so this is the top part that should be on the top of the machine. Remember, it is up and it slopes down, and then this will be the top, this will be the bottom. Okay, now first thing, now what I'm going to do is go ahead and put this on my machine. So I'm going to turn you this way. Okay, and I just push it back here. You lift it up a little toward the front, slip it under, because you want it to be able to fit on these little modules or these little humps. So you lift it up, lay it down, make sure both of them are in there. You hear it kind of snap. Then you just twist your knob clockwise until it tightens. There, and it's nice and tight. Now it's ready. All right, and I just make sure that those are on there. Now my hat, what I do is I line up this part, and I just want to make sure you can see me. Let me back up a little bit. I line up this little patch, leather patch, and I line it right up over on the side like that, so it's just hanging down. And this little line that's on, I use this little line that's built onto, that's made into the hat as a guide. Okay, I take a pin, pin it as close to the edge as I can get it. And I've just broke one. That's the first one I've ever broken. Probably for me pushing them so hard. Okay, and I make sure that the line, the little rib on the hat is lined up on the side of the fast frame. Okay, perfect. Now make sure the pin is actually hooked. I don't want it to be hanging down because sometimes it won't catch. And then I do another one the other way. Now there are hundreds of ways to do these, so if someone else does it differently, that's perfectly fine. There's no one right or wrong way. Now I'm always open to listening to others because, of course, if something works better, then I'm going to use it. But this works really, really well for me. So, and I just take my finger underneath the fast frame and kind of push the needle up to push it up into the cloth. And you can feel if it catches or not. And that one caught. Okay. Now, I haven't set, I don't think I've set up my letter. Let me see what letter I'm on. Nope, I'm on W. Okay. I haven't set my letter up, so I'll show you how I do that. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is go home because this is one I did before. Click on home. Let me get my stylus. And I'm going to click OK. And I have these on my jump drive, so I'm going to go here to the middle. And go to the file where they're at. I have it under Toboggan. Oop, let me go back. I went too far. Go up, Toboggan. Click on that. I have all just the plain letters. These are the 3 initials. These are all the A's to Z of a plain letter, which I love to do because they're super fast. But I go there and my letter, I keep everything written down on a notebook. Sorry about that. My letter is a W, and these are in alphabetical order, so I'm going to go toward the end. Up, okay, there's my W. As you can see, and I hope this light's not glaring, there's my W. Now I'm going to click Set. I need to rotate it because the hat is, I don't want it to print this. I don't want it to embroider this way. I need to flip it around so it'll be right when you put the hat on. So I'm going to click Rotate. And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees and 90 degrees. Okay, so there it is now. It's upside down. It looks like an M, but it's actually a W. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to click Embroider. Now I've already had these sized. So I sized them with the Embroidering software and put them on the jump drive, and so I would be done with them and I wouldn't have to worry about it. So now what I'm going to do is I go to the bottom part because I want to line this up with the edge of my hat. So I'm going to go here and I want to be right there, so I'm going to go there, and you can see it moved me to the bottom of the W. Okay, we'll click OK. Now I want to see how it looks with the laser across the bottom of the hat, so I'm going to go here, and right now the laser's in the middle, but as I move it, you'll see it'll go along the bottom of the W for the hat, and then I can look at it. It'll go along the bottom. I can look at the hat and see how it's doing. So I'm going to kind of try to show you, and I don't know that you're going to be able to see my laser, but it's right here, and then as I move across, it moves. Well, I can already tell that I'm on the very edge of the hat, so I need to move back up a little bit toward the hat. So the way I do that is I'm going to click OK. And these are the speeds for moving up. This is very, very slow, medium, and this is super, super fast. I usually leave it in the middle. That tends to work really, really well. Sometimes if I need to move a long ways, I jump over here to the fast one and move, but I'm going to leave it there. I want to move it down this way a little bit, so I'm going to click this button and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it about 5 times. Then I'm going to go back over here to where my laser will be, and I'm going to skim across the top of the hat. It's actually the bottom of the hat, the rim of the hat right here. But I'm going to go across there so I can see how it looks. And you probably can't see this really well. But what I do is there, and I check the distance from the edge of the hat based on the laser, where the laser is, the laser light. Okay, that looks about right. So now what I'm ready to do is I am ready to pin the rest of the hat on this side. I always check it before I pin that last pin, because if I need to adjust it some, then I can. Alright, now, check it one more time. And you can kind of pull on it a little if you think it's not quite right. Okay, now what I do is I come here to the other edge and I check that. And I just check it like kind of with the line. And that looks about right. I'm going to go around to make sure that... Ooh, and what I'm noticing is I'm running right on top of my needle. So let me go to the other side. I'm a little bit away from that, so I'm just going to move it over that way a little bit. Okay, I'm going to check it again. Yeah, I think that works. And the worst thing will happen is it will hit your needle, which is not good. But I do try to keep them. And I think this one may be a little bit far over, so I'm going to slide it over toward the edge of the frame a little bit more. Bump it in. Yep, it didn't catch. I can feel with my finger that the needle was still hanging down. That one caught. Okay, so now I'm good. Now what I do is I'm going to cover this with a piece of water-soluble stabilizer, or WSS, so that it won't sink down into the hat. It'll make a nice show. And I'm going to come over here. And what I do is, I don't like to waste this stuff, so I cut a big piece. And and I know it didn't make sense. I don't like to waste, so I cut a big piece. But I use it over and over, and a big piece just works better than a small piece. And it doesn't matter about the size. I cut it, you know, pretty big. It might be 12 inches by 12 inches, or 12 by 8, something like that, 12 by 10. All right, so now I'm going to bring you back around. Now what I do is I take this, and I don't put it in the middle like this. I just put it on the edge. And I hang it over the back a little bit because I don't want it to grab. I pin it. You don't have to, I guess. It just works better for me. I pin way back here on the hat, and I go up and down to make sure that it's pinned. And then I just straighten it back out. Okay? And I do one on each side. Do one on this side. So I just go in, out, and then in and out, because I want it to grab it there. Okay. And then I put one more pin, and I broke a pin. I keep my pins laying on the edge of the ones I use over and over, rather than have to get them in and out. But just in, out, and then just kind of lay it flat there. Now, a little bit hanging over here because I don't want it to pop up, and then this back here just hangs down, and I'll use this piece over and over until it's gone. It just works better for me, rather than having a little tiny piece, just to have a big piece to work with. And when it becomes too hard to work with, then I just throw it away. Alright, so I'm ready. I'm going to click OK, lock, and go. And I kind of hold the stabilizer down just a little bit until it gets going. And I do have a chopstick that I will hold down rather than putting my fingers in the way. I will hold this down to the edge so that it doesn't pop back up from the edge. You don't have to do this. I could use a bigger piece, but I don't usually leave the machine anyway. And you'll feel it if the head of if the arm is touching this little stick. You'll kind of feel it and back away a little bit, but I've never got it under it, but I do pay attention. But I don't like for the stabilizer to come up and then I don't have stabilizer in certain spots. Now I don't have to worry about this part. It's the bottom that tends to want to flip up. And it's working fine so far. See, I felt it barely touch my stick. I'm sure one day I'll let it catch my stick, but I'd rather it catch the stick than my finger. But you can feel it bump it, and when it bumps it, I'll pull it back a little bit. And you can see up here is fine. It's not on the sides or the top, it's not bothering it at all. And I could use a bigger piece to make it easier, I guess. And I've got it on 600, so I'm going to put it on 800 for the speed. And to show you how to do that is right here, 600 minus plus, I'm just going to go plus, now it's 700, plus, now it's 800. Now it will slow down and get faster depending on what part of the design it's on. See, you heard it get really fast. It's coming back toward the bottom, so I just hold it. What I should have done is maybe start in the middle of the stabilizer, and it would, or just cut a longer piece. Quit being so cheap. I just hate the waste. And it's coming up, so now I'm kind of not worried about holding it. Now it's finished on this side, so I just go ahead to save time. I go ahead and remove the stabilizer. I mean the water-soluble pin, not the pins on the bottom holding the hat, but the ones holding it. I just go ahead and remove that and lay it right there on the desk or the top of the workstation, because I'm fixing to use it again for another hat. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and give me another hat out and have it ready. Alright, so I have another one ready, and I'll just lay it here over here on the side, and so it'll be ready for me. Now I'm moving down toward the bottom, so I'm going to take my stick and hold it again. Now, there are times when I need to walk away. I'll just walk away from the machine and don't worry about it. But I do try to make sure I have a longer piece on it when I do that. Getting close to finished. I'm going to go ahead and remove the top one, because I'm not worried about that one really anyway. And I'm leaving the one on this side because it's still got to come over here on this side. And it's hanging, so I really don't need to worry about it, but I leave it anyway. And this one's finishing up. And I don't have to do the stick anymore because I'm done down here. And those are little chopsticks like you get from Chinese or Japanese place. Might be Japanese, Chinese. Maybe you get them at both, I don't know. So it's moving to the top now. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one off my list so I don't get confused about what letter I'm on. That was W. My next letter is D. I'll go ahead and remove this one. Okay, we're finishing up. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is tear off the water-soluble stabilizer. I find it easier just to tear it off when it's on the machine. Now I'll have to go back and pick the pieces out of the middle. But I just go ahead and tear that off and save this because I'm fixing to use it again. Take my pins out, lay them right here on the tabletop where it's easy for me to grab them the next time. When I'm done, I can put them all back in my pin holder, but I just leave them there. Now what I do here is I just grab it and pull. I don't want to mess this part back here up because I'm fixing to do another one. But it's easy to pop off. I just do it carefully, and there you go. So there's my letter, and like I said, I'll have to go back and get the water stabilizer off there, and then I'll come back and get the stabilizer off here, and then it'll be done. And I usually do this while the next one's sewing. Alright, so this one is a D. So the first thing I'm going to do is go home. Okay, I'm going to go back the same way we did just a minute ago. I'm going to go to my toboggan, go to A to Z. This was a D, there's my D. Set, rotate, 90, 90, okay. And there's my D upside down. And there's the size of the D, just in case you were wondering what size I put on the hat. So it's a little over 1 3/4 inch tall, and it's a little over 2 inches wide. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to take you back here. What I do is I go ahead and set, I click embroidery. I'm going to go to the fast mode, the one I showed you here. The one I told you about right here. Because I need to move my needle all the way to the back of this fast frame. So I'm going to go to there, and then I'm going to click up. Let me get my stylus. And you can see it jumps faster. Okay, now I don't want to. I'm right here. I don't want to get too close to the edge, so I'm just gonna bump it back down, about right there. So, now I'm going to go ahead and get the hat on. Same thing. Find my patch. This one I line up with the edge of the fast frame, and I just make sure I have the same space. I go ahead and pin one side. And then I eyeball it or look at it and pin the other side. But I go ahead and get this one secured, and I can move this over to give me a little bit more room with my hands. And I want to get as close as I can to the edge. Use my finger underneath to push it up into the hat. Make sure it's up. It's up. And then now I move back and forth. I just move back and forth along the edge. I'm right on the edge, so I'm going to move back a little. Okay. And then I'm going to check it, and I'm used to checking it from this side, not this side, but okay. It needs to go a little bit up there. Okay, and I can tell by the amount of stabilizer that I can see that it's even now. Okay, I want to get to the edge of the frame, so you'll feel the hardness of the frame. And then you'll realize you're right on the edge. And that connected, it didn't hang down. Remember, if the pin hangs down, it's not connected, you need to pull it back out and do it again. Push it up, and that one's hanging down, it didn't catch. And you want to stay by the frame. You want to make sure that I'm not getting it. Sometimes it's a little hard. There it goes. You want to make sure that you don't slant over this way into the hat. You've got to stay lined up with the edge of the frame to be out of the way. Okay? Move you over just a little bit so I can see. Okay, now I'm going to move it back here toward the back of the design to see where I'm at on this line, and I just use this line as a guide. And that actually looks perfect. One time all the way around to make sure that I'm not hitting any pins. Okay. Looks good to me. Now I'm going to take my piece of water-soluble stabilizer again. And I'm going to turn it around, I think, this time. Nah, I don't usually do that, so I'm not going to do that. Alright. Gonna do it like this. So hang it over here on the side a little. Not a whole lot, because you don't want to waste a lot of it. You go down in the hat, up, stick through the stabilizer, down in the hat, up. You don't have to go way down. You don't have to go through the bottom stabilizer. You're just holding it, securing it on top. So down, just like your thread, you're sewing a hem or something. Down, up, down, up. And that would be by hand, not with a machine, but... And then you just push it down where, and then you just straighten it back, because it'll pull it. Come back here. Up, down, up, down. Remember, the back doesn't really matter a whole lot. There, it's ready. And so see, now I've done one on the front, one on the back without ever changing the tearaway. And this is tearaway. It's not cutaway. It's tearaway stabilizer. And I'm going to click lock and go. And they want white, so I'm not having to change the thread. They wanted white on all these that I'm doing now. I try to take my orders and clump them together. I try to do all the white threads and then all the black threads and all the brown threads when I'm doing. That way I'm not changing the threads so much. I did a hat for a customer that wanted white, and then she has a vest she wants black. Well, rather than switch to the black, I just stayed on the white. I'm going to finish all my white orders, and then I'll change to the black and do her vest. And when you have a one thread machine, it's a little more. If you have more than that, then you don't have to change. You can just switch it. That's easier. But I have a one thread. And this is a brother persona for anybody who maybe is watching that doesn't know. Hold it at the back. I am using my finger, but that's okay. I'm on 800, the speed 800. But this is a great idea, because I've almost got my finger a couple times, so I've really started using these little chopsticks. It works great for just sticking it in there and holding it when you don't want to put your finger up in there. Sometimes the children come in, or I look up to hear a noise and look up, and it's bumped my finger a couple times. Actually, it's like scraped me. It didn't really go in the finger, but it scraped my finger because I pulled it back. But a lot of people have gotten those needles through their fingers, so just be careful. Holding it now, so what I usually do is come back over here to the hat, and I go ahead and I'll take my tweezers and just grab the edge. You don't want to grab your hat now, so make sure you're barely grabbing. It just pulls right off. You can use water on it. I don't like to use water except on the places that I have to. I don't like to wet the hat. Okay, and actually, see, everything came off, so I don't need to do anything to that. I just flip it up like this, hold it, do the same thing on the inside, grab, and you can see I just kind of put them in a little pile. My daughter's in here helping me. She always grabs them and puts them in the trash for me. And if you bump your tweezers, and sometimes in the little narrow spaces it will take more than one pull. came right off, and this hat is done. Now these hats do have the ponytail holder here. If someone doesn't want the ponytail holder, I just take the elastic piece and let me show you one that I did. And I just close it. See? So you're able to close it up. And then it's not a ponytail holder hat anymore. So some people that have short hair don't want the ponytail hole. So I just close it up for them and they tell me that they want it closed up. And if you buy the ones that aren't closed up, you can't do that. Or maybe you can undo them, but I would rather close it up than try to undo it, if that makes sense. Alright, so this hat is ready. What I do now is I take the bag that it came in and I write the customer's name and how many hats they're ordering. Like this lady is she's ordered 4. So I'll put her name and I will put with a Sharpie. And you have to be careful with some of these bags because they'll have holes in them. And this one doesn't, but some of them have a little hole that's been punched. But I just take it and write the person's name. And she has an E. And she ordered 4 hats, so I do a 4. And then I will put how much she owes me for all 4. And then I do that on all 4 hats. That way if I come in here and for some reason I pulled the hats, I don't want to get confused about what belongs to who. So I just fit it back in there. Close it back up and I put it in a pile for her. So that is her hat, and she has another one. And then these 2 here, well actually those 2 belong to somebody else. So I've got a couple more to do. So let's go back to the other hat. And I mark them off as I do them because I haven't done hats before and then done them again by accident. Okay. Alright, so we're back over here. This one's done again. Same thing. Pull the needles out. Pop this piece off. Comes right off, and I just throw it in my little basket that I'll use it again. Take these needles out. Okay, lay them there where I can grab them quickly. I just rip this off. You just want to make sure that you don't and the thread didn't cut on this one very well. So I'll just cut it. Okay. And then I'm done. And you can see that the piece here, I'm going to click home. And then I just put my hand back here, loosen it. And I'm done. So, and I'll just rip this off, and I did 2. One here and one here. Out of 1 piece of stabilizer, I didn't have to worry about spraying twice. I didn't have to worry about ripping it off and putting another one on. I just did 2 of them at a time. Now, I will say this: if you spray it and do one, the spray tends to evaporate or whatever, and it will start coming undone for the second one. So sometimes I just rip that one off and start over. But if you're doing 2 in a row, it works perfect. And here's this other one. Like I said, I've got to take off the water-soluble stabilizer, and then I've got to go on the back. But the back looks really, really nice. You just rip, and you can rip these off with your finger. I just find it easier to grab if you use the tweezers. But works great. Cute hat. Does have the ponytail holder in this one, and the customers seem to love them. Alright, so that's it. This is Shawn Woodell. If you have any questions, please let me know. Leave a comment. I'll try to check them. And I'm no expert by any means, but if you have questions, please let me know, and I will try to help you. And if you want a hat, let me know. Thanks, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.